everyone, welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel. I wanted to look back in time. I've had the car for 19 or 20 months. Over that period of time, I've been adding accessories, adding things that I felt would make it more functional, more usable, perhaps improve performance. So today is a summary of the 12 things I've done to my Model 3, or the 12 ways I've accessorized the Model 3. I'm going to start with what were probably the least important and work my way down to the big 5 that really make a difference in my everyday driving. What I'd like to do is to talk about why I felt the need to add a particular thing, and then talk about how effective it's been. So maybe it stops you from having to waste money on accessories that don't work or that aren't important. And it's going to be a no-holds-barred look at what I feel about them after almost 2 years of driving. Number 1, the console wrap. Now, what I'm referring to here is that central black, shiny plastic surface that is literally a fingerprint magnet, and anything else and any dirt and dust that get on there, it's awful. Most people already do this, but if you've not done this yet, get a wrap to put on top of that shiny black plastic. So you can see here my console wrap. You can have a look at what it looks like. It's a kind of a brushed metal finish. I'm going to put links in the description below, so feel free to drop down to the links and look for a link to where you can get a particular item. So was it worth it? You bet. I absolutely hated having to take out a soft cloth and clean the shiny plastic every single day. And now, with the brushed metal, you don't see anything. And also, the sun doesn't reflect off it into my eyes when it's at a particular angle. So, was that worth it? Yes, it was. Number 1, console wrap. And we'll strike it from the list here. Number 2, acoustic foam. Now, I'm fully aware that any of you with new Teslas will look back at that metal shelf behind the rear seats, sometimes called a parcel shelf, and you will say, we don't have an opening, there is no hole, it's solid. Yeah, they changed it. Those of us who got our cars back in the early days, it was a big rectangular port or opening that was intended for the sub-frequencies, the sub-bass from the woofer to come through and fill the compartment. Apparently it can do it without the need for that port, so they closed it. But if you have that in your car, simply insert a piece of acoustic foam like you saw I've done here. It does 2 things. It does not impede the bass. My sub-bass is just as good as it ever was before I started. Number 2, it does diminish the road noise, especially road noise that comes from the trunk area, because the trunk picks up a lot of noise. It's not really dampened in any way, and that noise would transmit. Now, putting the acoustic foam manages to reduce the volume and the noise level of that particular source. So did it work? Yeah, it did. It was good. But most of you buying cars now will not have a need for it because you don't have the bass port. Number 3, the O-ring that surrounds the front glass roof segment. So you know that the roof is divided into 2 pieces. There's a front area and there's a rear piece of glass. But there's a kind of a groove that runs between it and the body of the car, and between the front glass and the back glass. So a long time ago, people decided if we can just create a big O-ring that we can stretch and feed into that groove, should be able to stop some of the wind noise. I remember that when I first put it on, I could clearly feel the difference at high speeds on the freeway. Does it work? Yeah. Is it cheap? Yes. Why not get it? It fills in the area or the groove around it so that it doesn't get lots of dust and dirt and stuff collecting in that groove. So that's a good one. Number 4. Oh, internal lights. So we all have to agree on this, and I don't know that it's changed in recent models. The internal lights are pathetically weak. There's 2 places where this makes a big difference. The footwell for the driver and the passenger. When you stop the car, open the door, it lights up very poorly. The original OEM lights are just not that bright. And it's even worse in the trunk, because when you open the trunk at night, it's really difficult to see everything that you've got lying around if you're trying to take things out. Just not good. So for a very low price, I got replacement lights for the front footwells. I got a replacement light, a pair of replacement lights for the trunk. It made all the difference. Now, when I open the trunk, it's super bright. You can clearly see what's in there, and you're not peering around. You know, good lighting helps us to feel positive. And when the lighting is very poor, it's kind of romantic. Most of the time, we want functional lighting. So upgrade the internal lights. It'll do yourself a favor. You'll enjoy it, and you'll never regret that you did it. Number 5 is a very, very simple one. If you open the covers on your central console, there are 2 covers. One that covers where your wireless pad for your phone charger sits, and the other one covers a very deep cubicle, which is great if you've got something tall to put in there, but most of the time we don't. What we would like, and what I did do, was to get a little organizer. It's really just a piece of fancy plastic, in my case rubberized plastic, and it allows you to put things in little compartments and keep them up at the surface, not buried deep down in the hole. Useful? You bet. I put coins and keys and breath mints and a bunch of other things go into that organizer, and then you close the flap and it's all hidden away. So that's a great accessory. Check the link below. Go and get one for yourself. Number 6, double door seals. We have an original set of door seals. What is the rationale for putting a second set of seals all the way around? Well, the Model 3 seals are toward the inside of the door. They're not out near the edges, they're toward the inside. And a lot of dust and dirt and road dust gets in, and our door sills and the area when you open the door often gets very dusty, very dirty, water. It's just kind of messy in there. If you put a second set of custom seals, you're actually preventing a lot of that dirt from coming in. Now, you do have to be careful when you install them, and give yourself at least an hour to install them properly. But be careful. Each door has drainage vents, drainage holes. Make sure that below those you cut away a piece of these seals so that the water can still drain out of the door and go straight down and can get out and not build up inside. What do the seals do? Aside from keeping out a lot of the dirt and the water, the biggest thing was it felt quieter. Now look, all of us are on a quest to make that internal space as noise-free as we possibly can. Putting double seals in the doors keeps out a lot of noise that otherwise comes in through those areas. This is hard to quantify, and the ultimate test was Janine said, "Whoa, this is weird. It feels like I can't hear the cars outside." When I took her on a drive and I didn't even tell her I'd done a single thing, just her comment was evidence that it felt a whole lot quieter. So double door seals, get them, install them. They did make a difference. They continue to make a difference, and I'm very glad that I actually did that. Number 7 is my Model 3 car cover. Now, those of you who've been following every episode, you'll know that the first cover I received, there were 2 things that I didn't like about it. The one, it didn't have a vent, it didn't have mesh, so that the air could be drawn in to cool the battery. That was bad. It did not have an easy flap to lift so I could charge without taking the whole cover off. If I was at an airport and I wanted the cover on, but I wanted to leave the charger in, I couldn't do it. So what happened was they took note of the criticisms, they changed the product, they sent me a revised version, I tested it, and again, there's a link to it up there. And the result, it's great. It works well, it's functional, it doesn't cost a lot. So I know we don't use them often. I know people say, well, you could scratch your car. Look, I'm assuming that you've cleaned your car, car's looking good, and putting it on and tying it down so it doesn't blow around in the wind will protect your car from the environmental garbage, all the oxides, all of the dust, the pollen, the flower, the nectar, the flower petals that are all sticky, insect droppings. There's a ton of stuff out there. Just putting the cover over it preserves your paint. I don't do it if I'm just going into town. I don't do it if I'm going to park somewhere for 2 or 3 hours. If I'm leaving the car outdoors for a day or so, or maybe even longer, I absolutely use that car cover all the time. So again, go down, check the link in the description, but make sure you get the right one that has the vent and that has the charging flap as well. Now we get into our top 5. It's number 8 on my list, but it's number 5 and counting down. This is something I really never thought I would enjoy. I thought I would absolutely hate it, and I don't. And you will remember the episode when I talked about the headrest, EV Premium Customs headrest. I used to call it a neck pillow because literally it's like a pillow and you lean back and it's great. I use it every time I go on an extended trip. I cannot go without it. Driving around town? No. Driving from here to the store? No. Long trip? Absolutely. What does it do? It fits exactly into the neck area. Maybe that's because I'm the right height, but it's comfortable. My head is supported, my neck feels comfortable, and I got so used to it when I didn't have it, I almost didn't want to go on the trip. The original was donated to me with the Red Dragon logo, and Derek, that was pretty cool. They don't come embroidered as standard. But here's the big news. 1 pair of free headrests from EV Premium Customs. Listen, only one person's going to win it. So if you figure you're not that lucky, and if you like the idea, again, I've put the link down below. Please go down there, avail yourself of it, and you can pick it up directly from their website. Number 9, or 4th from the top, mats. Now, I started off and I uploaded an episode on the Tesla all-weather mats. They were the ones with a very low lip on all of the sides. They looked very smart. They look just like Tesla appointed mats. You didn't notice there was anything there because they looked as though they were actually made for the car. Very good. But they weren't functional for Vancouver. I live in a place that has a lot of rain. When we have snow, everything gets slushy and messy, and all of that gets dragged into the car. And because the surrounding lip was so low, stuff would just go over onto the carpet. That was not fun. And cleaning it was not a pleasant task either. So my second review was from some mats by Farasla. You'll see them here. They look very smart, but they have a deep well on each side. It doesn't allow for water and mud to spill over onto the carpets. It contains it very effectively. They were totally easy to install. They fitted very, very well. When I want to dust them out, I just lift it, take it, throw the dust out, put them back in again, and they're totally appropriate for our environment, for the Vancouver environment. So if you also live in a place where rain and snow are frequent environmental factors, these are good. I love them, and they work well. They were inexpensive if you compare them to the new ones that Tesla offers are quite a bit more expensive. These ones here are totally functional. So this is why they're high up in my list, because every day I put my feet in the floor, and every day I'm thankful for the new mats that I've tested out. Number 10 of the 12, which in fact is number 3 on my top 5 list. Nomad Wireless Charging Pad. And you remember when I first reviewed this, I said that the warranty is 2 years and most of the competition were 6 months or at the most 12 months. I said that the grip was beautiful, it was rubbery, and when you put your phone on, it didn't slide around, it just sat there. It had a higher wattage charge rate than the competitors. And since the day I installed it, it's been absolutely working, functioning 100%. So when Janine and I both put our phones down, they both charge. When I put my phone and my AirPods on a little breath mint can to get them up to the charging area, I'm sure somebody will make an adapter for that, so your AirPods will sit on something a bit more substantial than a breath mint tin. It's been working perfectly. So I don't even think about it. I just put the phone there, come out, and the charge is magically risen. So Nomad Wireless Charging Pad, absolutely vital accessory for those of you that have wireless charging phones. If you don't have that, no point in it until you upgrade your phone. Number 2 in my top 5, which is number 11 in the dozen, in the 12. This is a tough one. It is actually my favorite accessory. It is the one that I love most. And you say, well, what could number 1 be? Well, we'll get to that now. But Jeda USB charging hub. This thing is beautiful. It's a little box, a container that fits up at the front of the central console. It looks like it's original equipment made by Tesla. It's a beautiful, well-fitting structure that has two USB plugs at the back, USB-A, that go into the car's charge ports. But then it gives us 4 USB across the top, 2 USB-As and 2 USB-Cs, and a hidden compartment. If you push on the bottom and then just flip it with your finger, that's pretty cool. Inside of there, you could put an SSD drive, or you could put a regular USB flash drive, which would just go into the connector on the right there that you can see. That's pretty cool, and they even give you a magnetic attachment that you can stick onto the back of an SSD drive, and that will hold your SSD drive inside the compartment. How do you put this back? You just put it back. And the great thing about it is, if you hide your SSD drive in there and you close the magnetic flap, no one sees that it's even there. I mean, first they've got to lift up the flap of the wireless charge pad to even see that there's a space below. Secondly, this thing sits way back and it looks like the end of the space. It doesn't look like it's an add-on, so it's well designed and it works well. Again, I've been using it all the time and plug my extra accessories, my DJI Osmo Mobile and a few other things go into that. So Jeda USB Hub, great buy. It's one you do not regret getting. And that was my second favorite, because number one has to be, and we don't really think of this as an accessory, but it was a choice I made when the car was brand new, and that was having it wrapped. PPF, protective paint film. Went to Ken Wilson's AutoWorks workshop and Ken did the wrap for me. The only thing I regret about that was that I didn't just pay more and get the whole car fully wrapped. I got the front end, which covers everything that normally encounters the garbage that gets thrown at your car. That's true. And it was over the rear wheels, and we had a little bit on the trunk spoiler. It would have been nicer to have the whole car wrapped. And it was a great investment because it honestly keeps your paint pristine. It protects from little things. I have got 1 or 2 marks on it because of stones, but it hasn't touched the paint. It didn't go through. And that is a wonderful thing to do to protect your investment. These are not cheap cars. We all know that. We know that people have to scrimp and save to be able to afford them. So think of this as the best form of insurance, that when you put it on your car, there's so much protection that is built in. It's also a lot easier to clean. So my number one accessory was paint protection film and the ceramic coating that was part of the deal. And I cannot recommend that highly enough. If you've got a new car, don't drive it too much. Get it wrapped as soon as you can, and you will be thankful for that later on. You will not regret that. So that's the end of the 12. This is quite a long episode, but I think it should be useful because most people, when they get the Model 3 and it's new, they're wondering, what else should I be getting? What would help me to keep the car in the condition it is? Or what would make it even more functional? This episode answers those questions. So thank you very much again for watching the episode. Look out as well for episode 23 of my Model 3 tip of the day, which is coming out today as well. So you have 2 to watch. You may just have noticed that I've increased my workload. It was, after all, my New Year resolution, and with a new studio, why should I not? You know that every time, at every episode, I say, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notify button. And you may think, you're preaching to the converted. We've all subscribed, Peter. No, not according to Google Analytics. I went onto the YouTube Analytics page. 33% of people who view my episodes have subscribed. 66% have not. So they're casual viewers. No. 66% have not. In other words, they're just casual viewers. So if you haven't subscribed and you stumbled on the channel, there are a lot of good things on here, especially our Model 3 tip of the day. We're up at episode 23 today. So lots of good material. Please subscribe. please hit notify. And if you're buying a new Tesla, please use this referral code or anybody else's. I don't want you to miss out on the 1,000 miles or the 1,500 kilometers of free supercharging. But that has to be placed at the time of the order or they will not add it in. So use the link below. That will get you directly to the order page, and go ahead and order your new Tesla today. It just takes me back to the day that I took delivery, and I tell you what, it was the most exciting day of my life. Well, marrying Janine, having the 2 girls, but it was very close to being the most exciting day of my life. So until tomorrow, look after yourself, and I'll see you again then.